Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. I'm Preacher Miles, host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. I hope that you're having a wonderful Wednesday. It is hump day. I'm reporting to you from Chocolate City, Washington, D.C. Shout out to everybody in the DMC. Shout out to everybody all across the United States nation that's trying to do good, be good, and feel good. Listen, this is the Shout Out Show. There's no imitation. There's no replication. We are here. We've been doing this for a minute since 2020, and I would say we just getting better. Alhamdulillah. I want to give a shout out to a couple people. My main man Kendrick, he's going to be having his birthday this weekend. I also want to give a shout out to the Islamic Arts in Houston to get ready to host me down in Houston, November the 15th. I want to give a shout out to Halal Hilarity. They're going to be out in Los Angeles, going to be at the comedy store at the Belly Room. Alhamdulillah. I will not be able to join them. Why? Because I'm going to be leaving next Tuesday, going across the pond to the UK to do the Penny Tour, Super Muslim Tour. Inshallah, I can go over there and not have a major medical emergency this year and just tell some jokes, inshallah. So, today's topic, before I get to today's topic, I want to take some time because we lost I want to say musical impresario, someone I enjoyed largely because I am a fan of people who are a fan of learning their craft. Um, this came as a shock to me because one, very young, two, I hadn't heard anything. But the artist D'Angelo recently passed. In fact, it was yesterday from pancreatic cancer. We don't have much more, but pancreatic cancer is pretty much a death sentence when you get it. But I felt like it snatched something from us. Me, not me especially, but myself and a lot of other people. We'd grown accustomed to his music. Some people would say his music was sporadic. I would say, you know what? Geniuses work at their own time schedule, same as a Kobe Bryant with was it Mamba Madness or I can't remember. What is it? Mamba mentality, things like that. But this is an artist of scale, something like in the jazz world, like a Miles Davis. And we have to sit back and understand who are these type of people that that impressed their skill upon us, that we remember them. This gentleman only had 3 albums, although 2 of them were platinum. All 3 of them have tunes, have themes, have conceptual ideas within them that make me remember them. While he was 51 years old, I forgot that when he first came on the scene, he was 21 years old and he was a banger. And this is what we loved about D'Angelo, particularly in the DC area. DC is a go-go city. When you want to understand something about myself, Preacher Moss, and people that come from DC, it's the fact that we grew up with live music. There's a part of our DNA. We grew up with go-go, and go-go wasn't made on computers. It wasn't uh, AI or anything like that. It was you had to learn the craft of an instrument. Otherwise, your band wasn't valid. Your band didn't sound good. And so when a D'Angelo comes along, he reminds us of a young prince who basically gets a publishing deal, a recording deal at a very young age. He produces music that resonates with people, and he grows. But with that comes some issues about how you connect with your audience, how you engage with your audience. Sometimes our very, very serious artists can be recluses. I can tell you myself, I'm very, I'm outgoing, but everybody knows deep, hard in the core things. I'm kind of an introvert. I can sit in the corner of the room, nobody will recognize me, and we could both be cool with it. Before D'Angelo, his music reached out and touched a lot of people. And I think we should send out duas to his family. He's a Richmond boy, right down the way, 95 from Washington, D.C. A Richmond boy made good. His music went all over the world. So I want to give a shout out to Brother D'Angelo. Now, the core of our conversation today is going to be the recent ceasefire that was brokered by none other than 47 between Israel and Gaza. I should be happy. I am happy because at least the people in Gaza get a break. They get a break. So some food trucks get in because they've been denied for God knows how long. But I am admittedly waiting for the shoe to drop. Why? Because this is the environment that we live in. And it has nothing to do almost with Gaza. I know that people who fight for liberation and finally get it, the people who lose it are sore losers. That game is going to be played over and over again, and we need to talk about it here on the Shout Out Show. So listen, I want to go over. I want to be balanced in what I'm about to say. So listen, don't move. We're going to start the show. I'll be right back. This is Preacher Moss on the Shout Out Show talking about a ceasefire is not a cease war. We'll be right back. All right. And we're back. Thank you so much. I want to give a shout out to our Shout Out Show family, our soldiers. I want to give a shout out to Sister Ria. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for joining us and your continued support. Also want to give a shout out to Brother Altaf Rashid. Wa alaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Our brother, our Canadian envoy from across the border. We call him Mr. 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down. Our Canadian envoy to the Shout Out Show. No terrors, my main man. Next, we want to give a shout out to my brother. I talked to him this morning. JT alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, man, talking about life and living. Brother, we always appreciate you on the show. I appreciate you more. Y'all guys, you don't know sometimes our conversations that we have on Sundays really permeate some of the stuff that we talk about here on the show on Wednesday. So I guess I got Jay, do I need to make you a producer? Satan and I will talk about that. Next up, my main man, Jabril Howe out of Charlotte. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What's up, brother? Jabril always gets the picture with all the stars, man. It doesn't matter who. Jabril, do you have a picture with D'Angelo? I just want to ask. If you do, send it to me because I'm gonna put it on the show. He knows everybody. All right. Peace and blessings to you and your family, brother. We always appreciate your presence on the show. And we give a shout out to Sister Tana and Girls Gone. Was it Girls Gone Hodge? Sister, did I say that right? Did I say it right? Girls Gone Hodge, an original concept idea out of New Jersey of sisters who went to Hajj, and they are helping sisters not only learn about going to Hajj, but preparing themselves mentally, spiritually, and financially to go to Hajj. They had they had a luncheon. I think it was a tea. It looked like it was tremendously. I looked at the little videos I do on Instagram. It looked like it was tremendously successful. Shout out to everybody that was involved in that Girls Gone Hajj. For all you sisters, check with them because they're doing it and they're doing it in a big way. All right. And of course, Sister Tan is an executive producer on the show. Let's get to this right now. Ceasefire is not a cease war. Let me explain to you why I have these feelings. Okay. America doesn't forgive and America doesn't forget. America doesn't forgive and America doesn't forget. Everything that's been earned in this country from people of color, African Americans, Native Americans, in a trade of goodwill, good faith, or just righteous understanding in terms of being godlike. Whatever it is that we acquired, there was always a counteraction to get it back. Reverse discrimination comes from the Alan Backey trial. He sues the school because he feels like these minorities getting into school somehow affect his ability to get in school. He talked about reverse discrimination. First of all, let's say this about it. Black people were not overly indulged about getting into these white institutions. Okay? You had a system called HBCUs that were, in my opinion, just as competitive as the big name schools, if not more competitive, right? But it's just always a situation of we have, I want to say ownership, that somehow, some way, I have ownership over a situation. Now, I may not have paid for it. I may not have worked for it. I may not have legal ownership of the situation. But in America, under the auspices of American exceptionalism, dig down deeper, American institutional racism, it's always going to be an issue that if you have something, if you've developed something, it's only because white America let you do it. And now here's the caveat. White America does that to white America too. Before we get people going, oh, you're racist. No, white America does that to white America too. It's called Europe. And that system is here in the United States. That system almost permeates to the fact that they will invoke God, if you will, if it allows them to get what they want. So here we are. Ceasefire is not a ceasefire. You know the difference between America and Israel and their behaviors towards the oppressed, their behaviors to the lesser of us, their behaviors to the minority. The only difference is one is in America and one is in Israel. Otherwise, you couldn't tell them apart. Let me go a little bit further. You see, they gave the number of people who were killed. Now, this is not a thing of let me apples and oranges. This is, the number of people who were killed, 60,000 people who had little or nothing to do with this whole thing of Hamas are somehow collateral damage. Somehow it is the goodness and the earthiness of the United States and Israel that we somehow see the humanity not in giving you a break or a ceasefire. We see the humanity in ourselves in doing it for you because we don't really see you as people. We don't see you as living, breathing entities. And that is the thing that you have to look at. There's a thing about African Americans. There's some old school African Americans, and they get pushed to the side, who remember what America was like. Who remember, I was in the 60s. I remember what busing was about. And busing had a bunch of black kids coming to a white school. They didn't want to come to that white school. We didn't want to come to that white school. But because of federal mandates, taking blacks from black areas and black schools and put them in these white schools, you know what that was? That was school allotment. Because these white schools had lost a lot of population, and then it becomes convenient to bring the black students over. Are they worried about the education of black students? Maybe one or two or three people in that school are. But the principal looks at the bottom numbers. It's just like special ed. You know why special ed is at every school? Because special ed has the highest amount of money for school allotment. You got 30 special ed kids at this amount, they almost double what you would get 30 regular ed kids in terms of school allotment money. And the benefits that come, the resource teachers that come, the psychologists that come, the therapists that come. You see what I'm saying? And in this situation, I say a ceasefire is not a cease war. Because you've not really heard Israel come to the table and go, the war is over. Nobody's come to the thing and said, the war is over, right? Sora, there's no Sora 2 or Bibi Netanyahu going, the war is over. We want peace. And you're not going to get it. You know what? Because this is America. We are, at this point in time, the country with the most potential, but also the country with the most potential to do damage. The inescapable ability to not get out of our own damn way has killed us for years. And over again, we basically have to, keep recycling the stories of hope, because history is something that you can't get rid of. You can't get rid of a Nakba. You can't get rid of a Sheikh Jarrah. You can't get rid of the things that are happening. You can't get rid of the brutality that's happening and somehow believe that this ceasefire is genuine and sincere and lasting. I have a couple of thoughts. One of my thoughts about this is look at the players. Look at the players. While Donald Trump is over in the Middle East, Egypt, where he is in Israel, here in the United States, we have a mounting crisis. And that mounting crisis, given enough time, is going to destroy the middle class, which is the engine of the U.S. economy. and you will have a situation of have-nots and have nothing. And in that space, you have reconfigured the whole economic history of the United States, making sure that those who have will have not more, but have all of the resources, have all of them, have all the benefits of law. Right now, as we sit here and we talk about a ceasefire, the Supreme Court seems, I want to say, in some regards, because of the numbers, very, very open to kicking back and taking back more and more of the protections in the Voting Law Act. You see how this goes? Now, if that's happening here, what do you think I'm thinking about a ceasefire? Where is it that we begin to inject? This is not hope with this ceasefire, brothers. This is delusion. Just because a killer stops killing you for 15 minutes, don't mean he's not going to stop killing you. He's just tired. Maybe he needs another knife. Maybe he needs another gun. Maybe he wants to choose another poison. He's on a break. Okay, he's on a football term. The killers are on a bye. And once that bye is over, guess what? The need, the insatiable need, the addiction, the chronic mania, the mental illness to get back and continue doing exactly what they're going to do is the thing that's going to, and I hate to say this, it's the thing that's going to crash our spirits even more. You know why? Because we invested this hope in this shallow ceasefire. Think about George Floyd. George Floyd, everybody marched for George Floyd. This was going to be a referendum on police brutality and and we're going to do this. We're going to defund the police. Biden goes, Trump comes back. Even before he becomes president, he talks about all these things you're going to do with police. Not only do you have police brutality, you have a sanctioned hit squad in ICE who are not required to identify themselves. They're not required to show their faces. They are a Gestapo version of the regular law enforcement. Law enforcement doesn't know who these people are. And the scope of fear basically says, if you want to keep your job, you must be complicit with what they're doing. You may be morally averse, but if you're not a part of what they're doing, if you don't buy into this thing, then you're complicit. You are illegal. And now, I mean, come on, bro. The situation's out of control. Do you really believe that this ceasefire is going to hold? I'm not a betting man. I'm a Muslim. I'm not a betting man. Oh, but if I was Christian and Protestant, I'm giving out odds right now today this ceasefire does not hold. I'm giving out what? Normally you say 2-1. I'm giving 1-800. I'm going to give you, look, I'm going to spend $800 to get $2 because I know it's not going to hold. Because the players haven't changed, right? You know, in Islam, they tell you, when you deal with problems, you see injustice, what do they tell you? Change with your heart, change with your hand, right? Change it with your mouth, your voice, or let it make an imprint. That's the legal one. The least of that's the weakest of the three. Let it register on your heart. These folks don't even let it register on their heart. They go to the weakest one. And I'm going to call out some Muslims right now. You've gotten accustomed to going to the weakest one. Why? Because it's in fashion. Why? Because you know what? The uncertainty based upon the fact that you're not really necessarily locked into this thing called Islam in a very, very devoted, focused, ethical way. We're worried about somebody taking away from things in the dunya. We're worried about our jobs. If they take my job, I'm gonna lose my house. Where my kids gonna live? That's the pawn of the shaitan. I was reading this, and they said, one of the things of shaitan when he was Lucifer, one of the things that made him different was he was a master of praise. That shaitan was a master of praise. And what we fear here in the United States is that if we stand up for something, we won't get praise. If we stand up for something, people will take praise away from us. All the good things you've done in your life, all the well-being, all the well, all the good tidings that you're building your life, somebody could come along, create a situation, and create a fear in you that's so deep that you will make a moral decision to not make a moral decision. You will stand up on the fact that you're not going to stand up because you're worried. That loss of praise has tangibles to it. You could lose your reputation. You could lose your house, your property. You could lose your money. You could lose your opportunities. You could lose your ability for mobility, if you will. And all these things weigh on the conscience. You know, this ceasefire, for some folks, they needed it. You know why? Because for too long, and for an exceptionally long time, all we could do is make dua. All we could do is protest. You know, Europe in and of itself wants to believe that they brought pressure to bear on Netanyahu so that he would come to a ceasefire. But at the same time, what are they worried about? They want to make sure that they have a place at the table, because when power is given out in regards to Gaza, they want to make sure that they get their peace. Trump's going to be there not to make sure America gets his peace. He's going to make sure he gets his peace and whatever he can give to America. And Netanyahu, they probably figured out this whole thing. You know, I don't want to say the handwriting is on the wall. The wall is on the handwriting. And if you're clear, I'm saying if you're very, very clear in understanding, look, ask black people. Ask black people. Emancipation Proclamation comes in 1863. You can't find a black person in America that outside of Candace Owen and Kanye West and a few others that say that black people haven't been catching hell since then. You caught more hell. See, when you were legally under control, you were friends of the family. But the minute, gosh darn it, you start making decisions for yourself and it wasn't concerned with master, you started making decisions for yourself that had to do with your business and spiritual wellness and expression, these people lost their mind. What is the Reconstruction? Who cares about the Reconstruction? You have to take all the things in the Reconstruction and give it back. This is America. Like it or not. That is Israel. Like it or not. You know, people losing their visas because they commented against Charlie Kirk. That is Nazi Germany. Hey, shout out my main man. Walaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Big Eric, how you doing, beloved? Good to see you. Hope everything's going well in South Kakalaki. Oh, you know what? I didn't go to Satana. I didn't go to Instagram. I got to do that. Oh, we got Humanity 637-642 on Instagram. How you doing, Bilal? Bilal, the researcher, my main man. Shout out to you and Sister Sonia Dalton. Salah Houdin, good to see you. Let's see, Shahira, Cheyenne 2000, Ruth Nasrallah from Houston. How you doing, sister? Assalamu alaikum to all of you. Iqbal Assad Ryan, how you doing? My main man's Sheikh Imam Suhaib Webb, my main man. Sheikh, are you in DC? Let me know, man. We gotta do some some coffee, well, I get tea or something like that. I hope you and family are doing well. You had me at Halal joined us, and the very talented Usman Habib from Halal Hilarity has joined us. Okay, cool. Let me get that down to the spin because we only got about 6 minutes. Jabril, you're laughing about regular ed like it's a term. It's regular. They call it regular education, special education. It's the worst. When I lived in Wisconsin, they didn't call it special education. They called it exceptional education, which is a little bit more progressive, but it was still it's still special ed. Speaking about special ed, let's talk about this ceasefire. Because the ceasefire to me is something that comes out of special ed. Let me explain to you the tenets of what I had to deal with when I taught severely emotionally disturbed kids. Pay very, very close attention. The official definition of special ed kid, a kid that was severely emotionally disturbed, was that their behaviors were so severe that they couldn't be in a regular education setting. So for a severely emotionally disturbed kids, it had less chairs, less stimulation. You had an aid in there. It was spread out. And it was almost like a weird like prison, if you will. It's like educational prison. But if you flip it, and I talk about this with sports all the time, what happens when the people are okay? It's just that the environment is so severe that normal behavior has a problem operating in this severe environment. And that's what you have right now. You have a ceasefire that's built on special education implications. That the people in Gaza, for some reason, are presented as other. Let me point that out. Are presented as other. But the thing that bothers me is they're treated like special ed students, meaning that they somehow have something in their behavior, something in their DNA that we can, and something that allows the powers to be, the oppressors, to say, see right there, that's the problem. Like saying when you point at somebody, you always got four fingers pointing back. But here, what I'm saying in this scenario, the people of Gaza are not special ed folks. They're not special ed folks. They are exceptional in the fact that with everything that has happened, just like African Americans, Native Americans, in the space of everything that has happened, they have exemplified exceptional behavior. They've managed to have children. They've managed to have religion. They've managed to have culture. You couldn't take it away from them. You could kill 60,000 of them, 60,000 plus, but you couldn't kill that culture. You couldn't kill that drive. You couldn't kill the esprit de corps of young kids who saw all this devastation and destruction, but somehow in a young 3-4-year mind, they knew how to say, La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. They knew in all this destruction, there's 5 things you got to remember during the day: Fajr, Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. In all this destruction in 2 years, you still had what, Ramadan? That the culture could not be crushed. Israel knows that. This is a reboot. This ain't no damn ceasefire. This is a reboot. And when it happened in October 7th, I said to you on the ShOUT show, to anybody who was listening, I'm like, this is going to be a problem. They've been waiting for a situation, a scenario like this to make this happen, to have unfettered access to destroy these people and blow them off the face of the earth while the world watched. Well, we're still watching. I'm more worried or hesitant about a ceasefire because now I have to understand, in this space, in this quiet, I have to recalibrate myself and go, what's coming next? All the attacks and things like that, they stopped because the world said, damn, this is enough. Even the world said, I can't stop looking. I'm trying not to look. I can't look in it. Damn, it's still, I don't want to look at it. I bet you're still there. And they kept seeing the destruction of these people who were exceptional still show up. The old Jamaican people say, next time you kill somebody, make sure they're dead. Sorry, Israel. Sorry, United States. Can't kill them. Can't kill us. We're going to be around a long time. Get used to it. The fact of the matter is, this ceasefire is not a CeaseWar. The people in Gaza never engaged in the war. Those kids, those women, those elders, those innocent folks, those journalists, they never engaged in the war. Only the liar and the cheater will say it's a war because it justifies their actions. They are animals. This is the ShOUT show. I will see you guys next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Remember, a ceasefire is not a CeaseWar. Take care now.